Now, Zoe came out crying to the world, painting the picture that Kai was a bad person. Painting the picture, telling people why she feel like this, she feel like that. She started throwing people under the bus who got a big opportunity, talking about, he's not even a streamer. She was doing all type of different, and she didn't understand. She didn't understand why Kai didn't want her around. So she started pointing fingers at everything, playing this sympathy. Remind me of Megan Thee Stallion and them. People felt sorry for Megan Thee Stallion with the Tory Lanez. You giving them sympathy energy. You don't really give a fuck about them. You just feel sorry for them. So she painted this picture. Now I'm getting bashed. She throwing other people under the bus, all type of shit. Now, I didn't know who she was, so I had to do my research. I does my research, and all she does is emasculate. Bro, I don't know who this girl, where she came from. I don't know how long she been streaming. Y'all know what industry plants is. We talked about that on here. Where did she come from? Bro, every male that's a part of her stream, she humiliate them. Why you can't just sit and just have fun with it? Every person that stream with her feel like they going up under a humiliation ritual. Seriously, she putting humiliation rituals on everybody.
My algorithmically bewildered NPCs, fasten your moral seatbelts and tighten your ideological chastity belts, because we are about to dive chin first into a digital mosh pit of chaos, clout, and character assassination. A tale of streaming sabotage so convoluted, so sensationally messy, that even Kafka would take one look and shout, "Get me out of this group chat!" Yes, dear reader, today we descend into the theological tremors and content creator convulsions that erupted when SoLLUMINATI, a man who speaks like a bootleg oracle, possessed by a GNC-sponsored spirit guide, took to the digital pulpit to expose Zoe Spencer, a woman he claims nearly assassinated the career of one of Twitch's golden boys, Kai Cenat. But do not confuse this for a petty YouTube drama. No, this is not a tiff. This is not a spat. This is not some mid-tier, 24-hour stream gone wrong then deleted sort of debacle. This is socio-cultural trench warfare in 1080p. This is the collapse of digital masculinity at the hands of algorithmic matriarchs. This is Spartacus. If Spartacus cried on Instagram Live and accused the other gladiators of gaslighting. And now we shall analyze this entire postmodern morality play through the frantically waving arms of the liberal, the frothing mouth of the unhinged comedian, and the quasi-grammatical pyrotechnics of Patrick Obehiegben himself. Enter SoLLUMINATI, our prophet in gym shorts, a man who operates at the intersection of chakra alignment and vague women tongue-washing. And yet, even in his confused tremolo of YouTube fury, he lands upon a fundamental truth. There is no justice in the court of public opinion, only virality and vibes. And so begins his aria. Zoe Spencer, she who cried upon the cyber stage, allegedly manipulates the emotional sympathy of the masses. She paints Kai Cenat as a villain, not with facts, not with evidence, but with the brutal brush of feeling. And feeling, dear viewer, is the real weapon in 2025. It is not logic that wins the war, it is optics. It is not what happened, it is how it looked on your Twitter feed. And now we pivot to Zoe Spencer, the woman behind the tearful tsunami, who SoLLUMINATI, through a spiritual lens smeared with holy oil and conspiracy, dubs an industry plant. Industry plant in the streaming world. My God, what next? Livestream assassins, TikTok intelligence operatives? This entire saga is not about good versus evil. It is not about men versus women. It is about control. Who controls the story, who controls the lens, and who survives the story being told? Zoe Spencer, whether saint or saboteur, represents the new wave of internet femininity. Loud, confident, unapologetic. And SoLLUMINATI, our screaming, shirtless Socrates, represents the crumbling edifice of old-school digital masculinity, performative, paranoid, and perpetually threatened. Kai Cenat. He is the collateral damage of a system built to cannibalize its brightest stars for content. And us, we are the spectators, the digital voyeurs, the court jesters, and the jury. And in the end, perhaps the true humiliation ritual is not what happens on stream, but what we allow ourselves to become when we believe that social media is a moral compass and not a monetized circus. But let us entertain this notion, not because it makes sense, but because we're already on this deranged philosophical water slide. To accuse someone of being an industry plant is to imply that they did not arrive organically through hustle, talent, or even dumb luck, but were instead grown in a Silicon Valley hydroponic lab and released into the algorithm like a gender-fluid Terminator programmed to wreak havoc on men's mental health. SoLLUMINATI's chief evidence: she emasculates men on her stream. Now, let us pause and unpack this with the precision of a surgeon performing open-heart surgery on a reality show contestant. What does it mean to emasculate in the Twitch context? Is it simply to interrupt, to out-funny, to deny the sacred male right to dominate every interaction like a human soundboard? Or is it perhaps that men, in a space built to reward dominance and commentary, recoil in horror when confronted with women who wield the same tools with equal or greater finesse? Because what SoLLUMINATI really fears is not Zoe's supposed emasculation, but that she refuses to be deferential, that she doesn't play along with the unspoken rules of male-centered content. And in a world where women are expected to nod politely while being called mid by a man who still lives with his aunt, Zoe becomes a threat, not because she humiliates, but because she refuses to submit. SoLLUMINATI's masterpiece, his Sistine Chapel ceiling of conspiratorial linguistics, is the phrase humiliation rituals. A phrase so deliciously unhinged, it should be bottled, branded, and sold as a pre-workout supplement. What, dear friends, is a humiliation ritual in this context? Is it an Illuminati-style rite where male streamers must symbolically sacrifice their dignity before being allowed to collab? Is it a metaphorical lashing on the altar of viewer engagement? Is it, stay with me, just a woman being funnier than you in front of your fans? To SoLLUMINATI, this phenomenon is not coincidental. It is systemic. A calculated campaign to defang digital masculinity, one awkward Discord call at a time. These aren't collaborations. These are executions. These are rituals. Cenat and his brethren aren't building communities. They're being sacrificed on the altar of content, filmed from 5 angles and clipped for YouTube Shorts. And Zoe, she is the high priestess. The smirking inquisitor who puts the man on trial, forces him into cringe, and watches the internet devour the aftermath like locusts on a Popeye's biscuit. But to the liberal eye, this is not oppression, this is equality. This is the natural consequence of equal footing in the arena. For too long, men have held the mic and the frame. The moment women seize both, the response isn't introspection, it's accusation. It's she must be a plant. It's this is a ritual. It's why won't she just let me win at Mario Kart in peace? But let us not entirely dismiss the existential dread of SoLLUMINATI's lamentations. He is not merely foaming at the mouth because a woman was mean to his parasocial prince. He is reacting to something deeper, something darker, something real. What he is expressing, however incoherently, is the collapse of the masculine mythos in digital space. The myth that men are always in control, that men are the orchestrators of virality, that the alpha will always top the leaderboard. And then comes Zoe with a smile sharper than a comment section, and boom, the illusion collapses. He stammers, he panics, he deflects. Because in truth, many male streamers are not afraid of women. They are afraid of irrelevance. And nothing makes a man feel more irrelevant than a woman who doesn't need his approval to trend. Now let us return to Cenat, a young man who climbed the vine-covered tower of Twitch with charisma, consistency, and chaotic good energy, only to find himself yanked back into the muck by a combination of algorithmic backlash and personal proximity to controversy. Is he the villain in Zoe's tale? Perhaps. Is he the victim in SoLLUMINATI's version? Possibly, but most likely he is neither. He is the Rorschach test of modern fame. To some, he is the energetic, innovative entertainer who's changing the streaming game. To others, he is the emblem of male privilege in a space that still infantilizes women for existing. But here's the catch. Cenat's actual actions don't matter nearly as much as his proximity to narratives. Fame is no longer earned by merit, it is assigned through association. So when Zoe cries, people don't ask if it's true, they ask if it's viral. When SoLLUMINATI rants, they don't ask if it's insightful, they ask if it's entertaining. And when Kai trends, he doesn't own the narrative, he is the narrative. What SoLLUMINATI seems to be wrestling with, while spiritually flailing like a man being exorcised mid-vlog, is that he, like many male content creators, has come to realize the audience is not your jury, they are your executioner. And the gallows come in the form of quote tweets and Discord logs. Cenat, who had been ascending the Twitch Olympus like a caffeinated Prometheus, suddenly found himself rebranded not as the messiah of content, but as the subject of scrutiny, guilt by association, and a worst of all, viral ambiguity. Because let's be honest, once the narrative ball starts rolling on social media, nuance dies faster than a side character in a horror film. People don't ask what happened, they ask who's trending. And once you're trending, God help you. You could be innocent, you could be guilty, or you could be asleep during the incident. Doesn't matter. Once the TikToks hit 500K likes, the guillotine sharpens itself.